There is a moment every woman knows. You catch your reflection in a shop window, or in the mirror under bright morning light, and something in you pauses. Not because you look bad, but because you look tired, older than you feel inside, and you wonder quietly if your hair stopped keeping up with the woman you actually are. Here is the truth nobody tells you enough. At 50 and beyond, your hair is not working against you. It is simply waiting for permission to be reintroduced to your face in a new way. The right cut does not fight your age. It works with your bone structure, your texture, your natural elegance, and it can take 10 years off your reflection without a single needle or procedure. Today we are walking through 7 rejuvenating haircuts that bring instant lift, softness, and richness to your look. These are the cuts stylists reach for when a client says, "I want to look like myself again, just brighter." And stay with me because after we go through all 7, I am going to tell you 3 things you may be doing right now without realizing it, that are quietly aging your entire appearance. The third one surprises almost everyone. This is not about chasing youth. It is about stepping fully into the elegance you have already earned. Let's begin. 1. The rounded bob that softens every sharp edge. Let's start with a cut that has quietly become the most requested style in upscale salons for women over 50. The rounded bob. This is not the blunt, harsh bob of decades past. This version curves gently inward at the jawline, with softened corners instead of sharp lines. And that single design choice changes everything about how your face reads to the world. As we age, gravity and time can bring a little more angularity to the jaw and a little more softness to the cheeks. A blunt, straight-edged cut can emphasize that angularity in a way that feels harsh. But a rounded bob does the opposite. It cradles the jaw. It draws the eye toward the cheekbones and the eyes, which is exactly where you want attention to go. Women who make this switch often say the same thing to their stylist afterward. "I look rested, even though I didn't sleep any differently." The richness comes from the finish. Ask your stylist for a rounded bob with a slight inward bend at the ends, sitting right around the jaw or just below it. This length is deliberate. Too short and you lose the softening curve. Too long and the roundness disappears into weight. Right at the jaw is the sweet spot. Now let's talk about why this cut reads as rich, rather than simply neat. The elegance comes from the glass-like finish. A rounded bob styled with a smooth, glossy blowout looks expensive. It looks intentional. This is the cut you see on women walking out of 5-star hotels, not because they spent a fortune, but because the shape itself photographs beautifully in any light. If your hair has some natural wave or texture, don't panic, you don't need pin straight strands for this to work. A soft rounded bob can be diffused with a light curl at the ends for movement, still keeping that inward curve as the anchor. Bring a photo to your stylist and simply say, "I want a rounded bob that curves in at my jaw, nothing blunt or severe." That phrase alone will get you most of the way there. 2. The face framing layers that lift instantly. There is a specific kind of magic in face framing layers, and it has to do with light. When shorter layers are cut around the front of your face, angled to skim the cheekbones and jaw, they catch light differently than the rest of your hair. That subtle contrast draws the eye upward, toward your eyes and your smile, instead of settling downward. This is one of the fastest, most affordable transformations you can ask for, because you don't even need to cut your overall length. If you love your longer hair and aren't ready to part with it, face framing layers let you keep the length while still getting that lifted, brighter effect around your features. Stylists sometimes call this opening up the face. And once you see it done well, you will understand exactly what that means. The key detail that makes this rejuvenating rather than just trendy is where the layers start. Ask for layers that begin at or just below the chin, angling toward the cheekbone. Layers that start too high, up near the temple, can look choppy and dated. Starting at the chin keeps things soft and intentional. There is also a richness factor here worth mentioning. Face framing layers create movement, and movement reads as vitality. Hair that swings and shifts as you turn your head looks alive in a way that one heavy static length simply doesn't. If you want that old money elegance people talk about, this soft, layered movement around the face is often the missing ingredient, more than any single length or color. One more thing before we move on. If you wear glasses, face framing layers are especially important for you. They soften the hard edges of the frames and keep your whole look cohesive rather than segmented into hair and glasses as 2 separate things. Mention your glasses to your stylist specifically. because a good one will adjust exactly where those layers land based on your frame shape. 3. The textured pixie with longer layers on top. If you already know you want shorter hair, this next cut might be the most transformative one on today's list. It's often called a textured pixie, but with longer layers left on top, so it never feels severe. This is not the tight, close-cropped pixie some women fear will feel too masculine or too dramatic. This version has soft, tousled length through the crown, styled with a bit of texture and lift. The reason this cut reads as instantly younger has everything to do with volume at the crown. As hair thins slightly with age, which is completely natural and happens to nearly everyone, length at the crown can actually work against you by pulling hair flat against the scalp. A textured pixie solves this because the shorter sides create built-in lift, and the longer top layers can be styled up and forward with just fingers and a little product. Think of women like Judi Dench or Jamie Lee Curtis, whose pixie cuts have become part of their signature elegance rather than a phase. That's the energy we're going for, confident, polished, and completely their own. The richness in this cut comes from precision. A textured pixie needs to be cut by someone who understands how to layer for texture rather than just cutting everything the same short length. Ask specifically for point cutting or texturizing shears at the ends. This creates that soft, piecey finish rather than a blunt, helmet-like shape. It's a small phrase that makes a big difference in the final result. And here's something reassuring if you're nervous about going shorter. This cut is remarkably low maintenance day to day, but it looks like it took far more effort than it did. A little texturizing paste worked through damp hair. A quick tousle with your fingers and you're done. That combination, elegant appearance with genuinely easy upkeep, is exactly what rich hair is supposed to feel like. For the long layered shag that brings effortless movement. For the women who simply cannot part with longer hair. And there is nothing wrong with that at all, the long layered shag is your answer. This cut takes longer hair and breaks it up with generous layering throughout, creating movement and body that flat, one-length long hair often lacks after 50. Here's the honest truth about long hair as we age. Length itself isn't the problem. The problem is when long hair is left completely unlayered, because it can pull the whole face downward, adding visual weight and making the hair look thin and lifeless even when it isn't. The shag technique solves this by layering generously from about the cheekbone down, creating that piecey textured movement you see on the most elegant older women with long hair. A few soft curtain bangs at the front, cut to graze the brow bone rather than sit heavy above it, add even more of that youthful movement without requiring you to cut a single inch off your overall length. This is often the perfect middle ground for women who want to refresh but aren't emotionally ready to say goodbye to their long hair. You keep everything you love about the length while gaining all the lift and richness of a more current shape. Ask your stylist specifically for long layers starting at the cheekbone with soft curtain bangs. That phrase communicates exactly the shape we're describing here, and most stylists will know immediately what you're picturing. 5. The soft side swept bangs that open the eyes. This next one is less a full haircut and more a powerful addition, soft, side swept bangs. And I want to spend real time here because this small change has one of the highest impacts of anything on today's list. Side swept bangs, cut on a diagonal and swept gently across the forehead, do something remarkable. They open up the eye area and soften the forehead lines many of us become self-conscious about. Unlike blunt, straight-across bangs, which can actually add years by creating a heavy, flat line across the face, side-swept bangs move with you. They catch light differently depending on the angle, and that subtle variation keeps the whole face looking dynamic rather than static. The beauty of this addition is its flexibility. It works with nearly every haircut we've already talked about today, the rounded bob, the face framing layers, even the long shag. If you're not ready for a dramatic change but want an immediate lift in how youthful your face reads, ask your stylist for soft, side-swept bangs blended into my existing layers. That blending is important. It ensures the bangs feel like a natural part of your hair, rather than a separate piece glued on top. And a quick styling tip you'll thank us for. A large round brush and just 30 seconds of blow drying in the direction you want the bangs to sit is usually all it takes to maintain that soft sweep day to day. No special tools required. 6. The silver and platinum blend that reads as luxury, not age. Now let's talk about something just as important as the cut itself. Color specifically, embracing silver and platinum tones rather than fighting them. So many women spend years and considerable money trying to cover every strand of gray. when in truth, a well-blended silver or platinum color can look more luxurious and more expensive than any all-over dye job. The secret is in the word blend. We are not talking about a flat, uniform gray. We're talking about dimensional silver, lighter platinum pieces mixed with soft pewter tones, creating the kind of depth you'd see in a fine piece of jewelry. This is the exact technique that made gray blending one of the most requested colorist services among women 50 and up in the last few years, because it looks curated and intentional rather than simply natural and uncolored. If your natural gray has some yellow or brassy undertones, which is extremely common, ask your colorist about a gentle toner in a violet or blue base. This neutralizes brassiness and pushes the color toward that cool, elegant platinum, rather than a dull, aged-looking yellow gray. It's a quick add-on service, often done right at the sink, but the difference in how rich and healthy your hair looks afterward is significant. The confidence that comes from this shift is real. Women who transition to embracing their silver, rather than covering it, consistently describe feeling more like themselves, more elegant and paradoxically younger, because the color now works with their skin tone instead of against it. 7. The voluminous blowout that ties every cut together. Here's something many women overlook. The cut is only half the equation. The way it's styled day to day determines whether it reads as rich and rejuvenating, or falls flat by lunchtime. That's why we're finishing our haircut list with a styling technique, rather than a cut itself, the voluminous round brush blowout. Volume at the roots is one of the single biggest visual indicators of youthful, healthy hair. When hair lies completely flat against the scalp, it can read as tired, thin, or under-cared for, regardless of your actual hair density. A blowout that lifts the roots, especially through the crown, instantly changes that perception. You don't need a professional blowout every week to get this effect at home. Flip your head upside down while blow-drying the roots for just 60 seconds, then finish styling right side up. This simple trick lifts the root area in a way that instantly adds fullness. Follow it with a light hold volumizing spray at the roots only, not throughout the length, to keep that lift without weighing the hair back down. This is the finishing touch that takes any of the 6 cuts we've already discussed from nice haircut to wow, you look incredible. What did you do? It's the difference between hair that simply exists and hair that actively contributes to how rich, put together, and youthful you appear the moment you walk into a room. Now, as promised, let's talk about the 3 things that quietly age your entire look, no matter how beautiful your haircut is. Write these down if you need to, because they matter just as much as anything we covered today. The first is over-drying your hair with too much heat, too often without protection. Heat damage creates that dull straw-like texture that reads as tired hair, no matter how good the cut underneath is. A simple heat protectant spray before styling is non-negotiable at this stage of life. The second is holding onto a haircut for too long without a refresh. Hair grows, shape shifts, and a cut that was perfect 8 months ago may have lost its structure entirely by now. A trim every 6 to 8 weeks keeps every style on this list looking as intentional as the day you left the salon. And the third, the one that surprises almost everyone, wearing your hair the exact same way you did 20 years ago out of habit rather than choice. Our faces change gently over time, and the styles that flattered us in our 30s don't always do the same work for us now. The women who look the most rich, elegant, and quietly powerful are the ones who let their hair evolve alongside them, rather than freezing it in another decade. You deserve to look in the mirror and see exactly who you are today, elegant, confident, and completely your own. Pick the cut from today's list that spoke to you most, bring it to your stylist, and let this be the season your reflection catches up to how vibrant you already feel inside. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path.